I feel like right now the world says that our 20s are for scrambling, figuring it out, and rushing towards the future. But I have decided that I want my 20s to feel a little differently. I have decided that I'm going to romanticize my 20s. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to be intentional about curating my days and living in a way that feels like is the most devotion towards me. And not because everything is perfect, but because this is my life and I intend to enjoy it. Welcome to At the Table podcast, a virtual table where we discuss all things young adulting. My name is Fikayo, and thank you so much for having me in your ears. Today's podcast is going to be about romanticizing your 20s, and it is an effort that I intentionally do now as I'm 25 that I'm not sure if everyone else does, but I wanted to talk about it because I am living to have my life feel like it is mine. I'm living to have my life feel beautiful. And I'm not sure if that's a common rhetoric that I'm hearing a lot. I feel like I'm hearing more, people just talk about like the grinding and the hustle culture. And I think that there is a world in which both can exist because, like, as you know now, I'm currently in school full time and I'm also working full time. So there's a lot of, and also, producing a podcast, but there's a lot of hard work that's going on. But outside of that hard work, I have really soft days and I'm very intentional about curating my life in a certain type of way. And I just wanted to be able to talk about that today. And for me, I think that I have really just been kind of just sitting around this core question of what if I live my life like my 20s isn't just a decade to go through, but it's the decade that sets the foundation for the life that I'm building? What if I am intentional about the life that I'm living now so that I can carry it into my 30s and my 40s and beyond? And I've been doing just that. And it looks different in this specific season because right now, as you know, again, I'm working and I'm also in school, but also this is the first time that I am getting my own apartment. I have my own space. So in this season, it looks like filling my apartment with things that make me happy. Having flowers and candles and books stacked around my bed and like playlists that make me happy. And it might not be everyone's style. It might not be aesthetic or it might not fit into a Pinterest board, but it makes me feel good. Another way is walking every day, not just for exercise, but practicing being where my feet are. And that also looks like buying groceries in person and talking to the cashier when I go and buy these groceries and noticing people instead of just like pressing checkout online. How else does it look like this for me? It looks like stepping away from social media so I can hear my own voice again, reading more, journaling more, thinking more. There's actually a book that I'm reading right now. It's called The Defining Decade. And it was just teaching me that these years right now are not disposable, that the choices that I make now, even in my 20s, can ripple into the rest of my life. And one line that I've kind of carried with me is a version of something like, I can't really remember it, but it's like, you have to start embodying the person that you want to be today. And that line has changed the way I live because that means that the woman I want to be at 30 is not just going to magically appear. That I have to dedicate this specific season to fighting and figuring out who she is so that I can start aligning with her right now. So I'm constantly asking myself questions like, how does she dress? What spaces does she be in physically, right? How does she care for herself? How does she empower herself? What does she say yes to? And what does she say no to? And I try to embody that today in small, ordinary choices. And honestly, I also keep thinking about younger Fikayo, that girl, probably about 18, 19, who never thought that she'd be where she is now, who never thought that she'd live in her own space, walking in peace and enjoying her own company and building a life that she actually loves. And to her, I want to say we made it. It's not perfect, but it's beautiful and it's ours. So here's what I'm learning about romanticizing your 20s. One, environment is identity. Your space should reflect the person that you are trying to be and fill it with things that root you in peace and joy. Number two is patience is presence. Walking, cooking, going to the library, planning your week. These things are not chores, they're practices of how to become grounded. Number three is inputs shape outputs. What you read, watch, listen are all forming you. Protect your mind and protect your spirit by being intentional about what you are intaking because they do have an impact on you. And number four, your future self begins now. Embody the version that you want to be today. Align your choices with that person, even in small, quiet ways. So if you're taking notes, I'm going to say the four again. The first one is environment is identity. Number two is presence is practice. Number three is inputs shape outputs. Number four is your future self begins now. And I use this as my foundation. Instead of treating my 20s like a waiting room or a constant hustle, I am intentional about it. So every slow walk, every book I choose over scrolling, every intentional yes or no is all practical practice for the life that I am trying to build. And here are just some ways that I love that I am intentional about my life. And the first one is weekly scheduling. Every Sunday, I plan my week with productivity in mind. And I try to keep beauty in that as well. So I will block in work and school stuff, but I'll also be intentional about walks and like library visits and meals that I want to cook. And I give myself something to look forward to. Another thing that I really enjoy is, again, my walks. I try to walk as much as possible. I walk to work right now, I walk back. And if I can do a run, not like an actual run, but like an errand run, and I can just walk there to like Trader Joe's or like Ross or Sephora, I try to do that as well. So I am getting in well over 10,000 steps a day. And I love that because sometimes while I'm on my walk, I'm listening to music. Sometimes I'm praying. Sometimes I am reading or listening to an audiobook or a podcast. But in every single time, I am constantly trying to remind myself to be where my feet are. Another thing that I have fallen in love with is kind of like, putting my apartment together in a way that genuinely makes me happy. So I try to keep flowers on my tables or plants. I try to light candles and keep it smelling like my favorite smell, which is vanilla. I like to fill my space with books. I have books everywhere, but I don't know, like books make me genuinely so happy. And my home feels like me. Like at the end of every day or every time I have to leave, I am so happy that I'm coming back to this space because this is my space. Another way that I have been intentionally, romanticizing my life, right, is using my style as an expression. I genuinely am not like a super stylish girl. I don't know. I'm just not like that. I never really have been. But recently, I have been more intentional about the clothes that I'm putting on my body. How does it fit? How does it make me feel? How would someone looking at this, like, outfit perceive me? And am I okay with them perceiving me like that? Just being intentional about those things and making sure that it's not just encompassing the woman that I am today, but it's also expressing the woman that I want to be later. It's really, really fun and I've been really enjoying it. Another way that I have been just romanticizing my 20s again is reading over scrolling. I don't know. I have a very weird relationship with social media. I have never really liked it, to be honest. So I've always kind of had these guide rails in my life to protect me from social media. But right now I've taken a big step back and I'm not on Instagram right now. And one of the reasons why is because, again, I want my life to feel like mine. I feel like when I am constantly looking, or peering over someone's shoulder to look at their lives through social media, I'm subconsciously comparing myself, and I don't like that. I don't want that feeling. I want my life to truly be a devotion to me, and the lessons and everything that I'm learning. So I'm taking a step away from that, but then I'm reading. And the reading is great because it allows me to focus my attention to one thing, deep dive into one thing, love one thing, and I'm still getting input, right? So I'm still getting inspired by the characters and the people that I'm reading about and I'm learning about, and, their courage or their sadness, and I'm learning lessons from them. But it's not coming with the feeling of comparison, So I'm still able to take from them, but without the gong. Again, guarding my inputs, I am very intentional about the voices that I let shape me, from podcasts to conversations to people, because I understand how important it is, for you to just be intentional about what you are consuming, whether it's physically or even just mentally. So I am very intentional about guarding my inputs, and the people I talk to, the people I take advice from, the people that I allow have influence over me, because you just never know. You might think that you're taking water, but you're accidentally drinking poison. So I'm very intentional about those things. And lastly, another way that I have been romanticizing my life is going to the library. I love the library. And I don't know what it is. I find I am one of those people who I feel less lonely when I'm around books. And I don't know if it makes sense. But I know that there are some people that are like that, and I fear that I happen to be one of them. I love the idea of being around books. I love the idea of being in co-creative spaces or co-working spaces. And although that person's over there and they are, doing whatever they're doing, and I'm over here and I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I intentionally chose to leave my house and come out to the public to do work that I could have done in my house. There's something so sacred about that. And I am the type of person who will see someone working and I'll be like, "Hi, I'm Addie. What are you working on?" And I don't know, it's like we both came to this thing, or we both showed up here understanding that we wanted to. I don't know how to explain it, but it just feels like we both came here, and we both came here to kind of experience society, but maybe we don't know how to be in society or interact with society. How about here we create our own society? Or how about here we talk? And usually if you're sitting in the library and you're doing work, then you're actually probably my kind of person, and I'm probably kind of one of your people, so we might as well become friends. I don't know, I'm like that. But yeah. That's the end of the whole podcast spiel. All right, let's get to our let's talk about it section. And I'm curious, for you guys that are listening, who is the person that you want to be in your 30s and your 40s? And what is one way that you can start embodying them today? Or maybe you're already doing it. And let me know in the comments. I want to know, I want to hear, I want to take inspiration from you guys. Maybe you guys are able to come up with something that is so good, or you guys have really great tips of what you're implementing into your lives now to romanticize it or make it feel softer and make it feel good. Let me know. I'm interested. Let's start that conversation in the comments. And if this podcast resonated with you, please share it. I made this podcast so that people remember that they're not alone in their 20s or in their young adulting. And maybe this podcast might make someone feel a little bit more warm. I think this podcast was really sweet, and I think it's a different way of perceiving our 20s. And again, if you think that someone might value it or really enjoy it, please share it with them. Yeah, and I think that is it. Yeah, I think that's all. I have really had fun talking to you guys. I love you guys so, so much. And remember, laugh really loud and pray all the time. Bye-bye.